Merry Christmas, Sai. How are you?
Merry Christmas, Leona. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. I see you with your bow tie. Looks nice and distinguished. I'm in my Christmas gear
Thank
today.
you. You as well. Look beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Well, today, everyone, I just want to say Merry Christmas. Come on in the room. We are going to actually host a Christmas check-in. The purpose of the Christmas check-in is to give you some tips and habits that you can carry throughout your day, throughout your Christmas holiday. It's important that we acknowledge some of the children who are having a difficult time as it relates to being fatherless.
Mm.
And we have some resources for you today. Cy wrote a wonderful book, but he's going to share a poem today. So we're going to sit back, listen to the poem, and let him take it from here.
So this poem is called Christmas Morning. I'm supposed to be excited. The sun is rising, shining through my window, but I just want to hold on to the memory. Before I went to sleep, you were there for me. The first and only time in my life, fell asleep with the fantasy of belief that you would always be in my life. But downstairs is reality. This is a day of mourning, Christmas morning. Mommy hides her disappointment, doing her very best to be everything. She explodes with excitement, portraying the emotions of two people combined. She knows that I know he already left, and soon I would feel the pain that I'm the one left behind. I keep every tear inside, as it is no longer worth a cry. Nothing else but a scorned view, Christmas morning, begging me to see everything that Santa left. Her eyes shows the sadness, trying to convince me that I am loved. She squeezes me tight, letting me know it's okay to let every tear out. I have lost that kind of energy. I wish she never made me. Sickened in the belief, there are kids with both parents, and they are jealous of me. Christmas morning. Took me so long to realize I never needed to look into his eyes. He never wanted to be a part of my life. He never knew love with me. Took me so long to understand that even without him, I would become a man. Formed in the void of his existence, every quality I loathe in him, I became the opposite in spite of him. Christmas morning. It wasn't until I shunned Christmas that I began to understand. A child needs love unconditionally. And every bit of that love my mother gave to me. She gave me every Christmas. She gave me everything I needed. Excuse me. She planted in me such a loving thing within the peace of this earth blooming. Christmas morning. Yeah, so Leona, I wrote that just from my own experiences with growing up and my mom being a superwoman. And it was so powerful. I didn't realize I was really a single family home until you go outside the next day and you see everyone out there playing with their dad and their dad's doing this and building a bike in the snow when we had those snow days. It was
Yes.
powerful. And although I had family around that would come around sometimes, there's nothing like having that father in your life. But that was a void that
Yes.
I created in my own mind.
Wow. Sai, that was powerful. I cannot commend you enough for sharing your experience, essentially around Christmas time, because it's going to give parents a perspective who are raising fatherless children, how their child may feel.
Mm.
Now, I just want to be clear for people who may or may not know, my experience as it relates to fatherlessness has nothing to do with my upbringing. I was blessed to have a biological daddy. My parents were married at the time when I was born. I was blessed to have lived down the street from my grandparents. So when my parents went through a separation, my grandfather filled in the voids just on a whole nother level. I actually lived with my uncles at some point, and they played a tremendous role filling in the gaps. My Uncle Sherman, my Uncle Azar, and I could always talk to my Uncle Johnny. My dad had 5 brothers, so there was no lack of masculine energy around me when I was younger. But I have learned to respect and to love and appreciate those men in my life, because as I became a woman and a single parent, I started to understand things in a different perspective. I started to see things in a different manner. So while my daddy is still living, as well as my uncles, I just want to say thank you for being there and for loving me and pouring into me. But as a single mommy, I understand the need that children have. And I'm so grateful for people like you who are living their truth and who are providing resources for people who are in need of hearing some tips and some habits that can help them along this journey. It's Christmas time. It should be a joyous time, a joyous occasion. But unfortunately, some children are having a difficult time. So with that being said, some people are aware of the negative connotations that come along with being fatherless, such as high school dropouts, teenage pregnancy. Um, all the societal ills are connected to fatherless children, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So it impacts not just individuals, it impacts us as a nation, as a society, as a whole, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Si, one of the statistics that I actually learned today was that 60% of the victims recovered through the FBI raids in the United States were from foster care or group homes, the children who they recovered as it relates to sex trafficking. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. But think about that. Right. 60% of those individuals come from fatherless homes. So for you to share that poem that was just heartfelt, that was touching, which was warm, it says a lot. So I have a few questions.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. So number one, what would you say to parents about your Christmas journey that could help them understand how their child is feeling at this time of the year?
So we have to be very transparent that every child does not feel the same way. So it's also important, don't create a pain in your child that doesn't exist. So if your child is not, longing for this person that's missing, don't bring it up. Don't create a void. Don't say, well, if your dad was here, blah, blah, blah. That is a very painful experience because you are kind of perpetuating a void that exists in that person's life. Don't do that. But what you can do is absolutely just talk about your own love for them. So I think where my family was really good at it was, although they may not have always recognized that I had a gap, they showed me love all the time. It was always physical. It was hug. It was always, no matter where I was, every morning it was, good morning, I love you. I'm proud of you. Those encouraging words have an enormous impact because those are the seeds you're planting. Because at some point, what I have definitely noticed is at some point, every child wants to know who their father was or who their mother was that left them. I haven't seen a case where that was never the case. Or so at some point it's going to come out. What they can anchor in, and what I have anchored in is the love that was still existing in me, but it doesn't get rid of that pain. So again, first thing, don't create a pain if none exists. The second is love unconditionally. It doesn't mean go overboard. It just means love your child as much as you possibly can so that when they need that strength, they can come back to it.
That awesome advice. Essentially, which was what was key when you said, do not create the void. Because in some instances, what people don't realize, fatherlessness is also a mindset for some. Why? Because not all fathers who are not inside of the homes are deadbeat dads.
Correct.
Some of those fathers are excellent fathers.
Absolutely.
They spend time with their kids. They take them, for the summers. They're involved heavily. So thank you so much for teaching others to not create that void. If it doesn't exist, they'll realize it sooner or later, but don't perpetuate the cycle.
Exactly.
Another question I would like to ask, in your Christmas poem, you stated there are children with two parents who are jealous of you at times or were jealous of you at times. Can you elaborate? Was that as a result of maybe the materialistic things? Were you in a situation where mommy overcompensated? Because sometimes as parents, single parents, we tend to do that in certain instances.
So I think it was two key things. There's one, my mom was a superstar. So she worked her ass off to give me everything I needed. So I never wanted for anything material. And I still don't have that want. I don't know how to long for that Range Rover. I don't have those kind of burning desires. I had
All
everything
right.
I needed, right? So that was absolutely one thing, is I had a lot. The other thing is, from their perspective, they couldn't see the value of having both parents. Where my mom was
Okay.
working, I was home alone the majority of the time. They
Right.
always had a parent home. So they saw me as, you're free. You have so much freedom. You have no one there. And I'm like, I'm alone.
Yeah.
So it is that delicate balance of perception, whereas they looked at it one way where we ended up being jealous of each other because they would get mad because their dad was yelling at them. I was like, damn, you got a dad that yells at you?
Wow.
Said, oh, he's mean. I said, but damn, you got a dad that's mean to you?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So it's all around perception that creates, again, this like is the point you raised before, it's a mental thing that we create ourselves.
Yes.
So we create our own barriers in life sometimes. And what I really hope is that we spend time removing our self-created barriers.
Mm. Wow. That's good stuff. Whew, I just that just really created a shift in me as a
Mhm.
parent because I'm very much aware of blind spots, and
Mhm.
if people have an opportunity to go back and listen to the interview that you did with Plans of Action Houston on the Inspiration Incubator, they'll be able to get a full perspective and view of your story.
Mhm.
It is just amazing, you sharing the way that you did. But I can't tell you the insight that you just gave me in these few moments, because who would have thought, wow, you had everything you wanted, including free time. The other kids wanted the free time. They
Right.
didn't want somebody at home yelling at them. And you're saying, hey, I'm alone. And they're saying, you're free.
Right. It's
you know?
perception.
Perception. Wow, that's key. It's essentially for parents to know that, so you understand how to talk to your children and what could possibly be going on inside of their heads at the time.
Mhm.
Now, what would you say to children who are holding on to the desire and longing for a father during this time of year? What
In
would you say
essence, it's
to them
hard.
if they're not?
Yeah. So in essence, it's hard. It's difficult.
Mm,
So there is no, and this is really more dependent on the age of the child or even the age of the man, because things that are painful for us,
yes.
we hold on to. And like even my own voice of not having a father, I probably held on to it until really I let it go during this whole pandemic because it was too much for me to bear. So I started letting
Yeah.
it out through writing, and that was my
Mm,
way to really reevaluate who was causing the pain. And the part I recognized was I was causing my own pain. I created this image of who I thought my father should be. I created an image of what my life would be like if I had a father. I created an image of, oh my God, I could have been a better father if I had a father. Those are all self-created doubt.
mm,
And I needed to let that go myself. So it was nothing my father could give me to make me feel whole.
wow.
And so what
Wow.
we long for is that other part of me. We long to say, well, I don't know my dad, I don't know my grandparents, I don't know, my cousins on the other side. So what? I tell you this very directly, God gives you what you need.
Yes.
The key thing we have to do is accept what God is giving us and do the best we can with it. It is very hard for us to accept what God gives us when he gives it to us because we want what we want when we want it,
Ooh, all
right?
right.
So where
Yes.
we have to really, and that's why I said it depends on the age of a child. For an adolescent, it's not going to resonate. If it's probably harder if you are a cold parent and the parent is gone and you are not a loving parent and that kid needs love, you have to find somebody to love that child if you can't in a positive and respectful manner, right? Children need
Mhm.
love, and they need
Yeah.
love unconditionally. They need to know even if they make mistakes, there will be repercussions, but I'm still here.
Yes.
And this was
Absolutely.
a huge lesson I learned just from being a father about relationships, about love. I didn't understand, I gotta say, even being married, I didn't understand love till I had a child.
Mm.
Because that child could break everything in his house. I would be furious, but by the end of the night, I'm hugging him as if, I still love you, right?
That's
We don't
right.
we don't
That's
do that to
right.
each other. We don't do that to our other
Yeah.
family members, but our child,
Yes.
is something in us that we need that level of unconditional love from someone. And
Yes.
what we have to understand is why it's so important for that child is if you don't give them that unconditional love, they will seek it from someone. And it may not be
Yes.
someone that truly loves them. So it's very important as you're raising your child or you have a child in your life, a very great message I heard more recently is if you see a child in need, help them. If you have your own child, what could you do to help that child? Like I have a few fraternity brothers, and they will, on their own block, they will father children on that block. And I don't mean father
Yes.
meaning, buy them, diapers and food. Just sit down like, hey, you know, why are you giving that store owner a hard time? Come talk to me. That's
Yes.
fathering. So we all have a responsibility to be fathers. And for the women that don't feel like, I don't have his father. It doesn't have to be his biological father.
Yeah.
That can be a father.
Yes. And what you said was key, because I know as for me in my house, we serve the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I know that God is my heavenly Father, and I pass that on to my children.
Mm.
And so, it's all about perspective. We don't ever want to discount the power in the man's touch, because men have a power and an energy with them that is
Mm-hmm.
unmatched. I
Mm-hmm.
love male energy. I was marinated in it, and I understand that my perspective on life, my personality, so many things would have been altered had I not had that. So I'm so grateful for that. But in the reality of relationships are delicate, and they don't always last, and
There you go.
sometimes they break. And
Right.
so there's only one thing that can stand in the gap, and that's the love of the Lord.
Mm.
And so
Amen.
when we realize that, we can then have the compensation and the strength and the hope to get through that we would not necessarily have if we didn't have that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I am just elated. So with your book,
Mm-hmm.
Fatherless,
Mm-hmm.
the movement is real. I have seen your engagements personally.
Mm-hmm.
United States, India, Netherlands, Australia, Nigeria, Russia, United Kingdom, Romania, and the Philippines.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as a resource, can you provide some information as it relates to fatherless to the children and parents? Can you talk about some of the things that
Yeah.
you'll be providing to help assist throughout this journey?
So what I realized, and just as you point out, is like the breadth and scope of it, Leona. So when I even put the book out, I wasn't expecting that kind of response. So even what I do now is even like literally every day now, I'm writing a poem about or publishing a poem about, being fatherless. And what I recognize is sometimes when people see that someone else is going through it, it allows them that time to have that moment of clarity to say, it's not just me. Also, there's nothing wrong with me. And that is so
Amen.
powerful to recognize. There's nothing wrong with you that man left you. That's on him, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm absolutely planning to do. So coming January, I don't have the date yet, Leona, but I'll promise to come back and give it to you.
Okay.
What I want to do is share my love of writing, because it was a way for me to get out of my own self-created doubt and my own barriers. And I want to offer that up to just share my own experience about writing and help others write to find that way out of whatever they're thinking, whatever they're holding in that they have self-materialized over the last year, decades, whatever lifetime they've been holding on to it. Writing for me has been a source of peace. I want to create a forum that we can actually, get us, different small groups of people together and let's write it out. Let's really
Yes.
give us opportunity to talk about what we're feeling and share some of those emotions together. So again, I would
Yes.
have to put my hand up. I'm not a clinical psychologist at all. What I'm doing is just sharing my own experiences. And I hope
Yes.
by through sharing and having that collaborative nature of talking to other people who's going through the same experiences, we can all learn from each other. So I'm not coming to you with a solution to take away your pain. What I'm saying is let's come together and just talk about our shared feelings so we can all learn and grow together. So that'll be coming in January, Leona. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully I'll get some dates out before Christmas, but it'll be in January that we'll start doing that.
Yes. And tell them where they can find you.
So I'm at sybryant.com, SYBRYANT.com. And again, on there, you'll find different resources. The books are on there as well as this. It's literally a daily poem on there to help you just manage that time in your life where it may impact you more about being fatherless. So again, just subscribe to that and it'll be ready and available for you.
All right. Now, as it relates to some quick tips, and I'm going to make it quick.
Mm-hmm.
As a single mommy, I have some experience in, raising children myself. So, number one, I'm just going to share 5 quick tips. Number one, be safe. Ask yourself a question. Is your home a safe place? If it is, You know, allow your children a sense of freedom. If your home is not a safe place, if you are feeling guarded, if you're not expressing your feelings, if there's any domestic violence going on, and domestic violence is threefold.
Mm,
There's physical abuse, emotional abuse, and financial abuse.
mm.
If you're under any of that, make sure that you seek the resources that I'll be listing at the end of the tips, and get the assistance that you need. Because in order for you to be happy and healthy around the holidays and beyond the holidays, you have to be in a safe place. If you're not
Absolutely.
safe, your babies aren't safe. Number two, head trash. The body is just glorious and marvelous. Whether or not we realize it daily, even as something as simple as breathing, we have an excretory system. You know, our body is consistently getting rid of the waste, the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, what God has shown me in that process is that what happens in our mind when we don't
Mm-hmm.
excrete and discard of the trash, the waste that comes and goes. And so, as Sai had brought to our attention, we have to be mindful about the voids. Do not push the voids onto our children, and make sure that our thoughts of negativity are not something that we're projecting on our child,
Mm-hmm.
which it'll create some damage. And you want to leave room for that parent at any time
Correct.
to be involved in the child's life. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter why you broke up. It really
Right.
doesn't matter. It
Right.
doesn't matter who did what, when, where, why, and how. If
Mm-hmm.
they want to come back just to see the child, even if they didn't send a check in the mail and you feel like they should have, none of that matters.
It doesn't.
Just clear your head of the head trash, allow space for that parent. Number three, be free and allow freedom. Around the holiday season, be free to just be yourself. Don't get caught up in what everybody else and how everybody else is celebrating the holidays. You can be on a dollar store budget and have an awesome, amazing time. Okay?
Absolutely.
You can go and buy $5 t-shirts. If you see people wearing pajamas and you and your children want to take photos in pajamas, go to the $5 store, 5 and below here in Texas. Okay?
Yep.
Too many times we put emphasis on materialistic items instead of focusing on what will the children really remember at Christmas time. They're going to remember the things that you did with them. Okay.
Defeated.
Today
Absolutely.
I did something as simple as my baby said, well, mommy, I really want Starbucks today. Okay. I said, all right. She knows she can't have Starbucks all the time, but she was such a good girl. My baby had Starbucks.
Right.
Okay. So we jumped in the car, we went for a ride, and she had Starbucks. I mean,
Right.
it wasn't coffee, but
Right.
it's her drink likes to get every once in a blue moon, which is like a vanilla bean drink.
Right.
Anyways, be free, allow the kids freedom. Allow them to just be themselves at the holiday, and try and take them out of the mindset of worrying about what everybody has, what everybody else is doing. Okay. Create traditions. That's number four. Create
Mm-hmm.
traditions for yourself and your children, mommies
Mm-hmm.
or daddies, because you have some single daddies out there.
Yep.
I have a drink that I make. It's kind of like cocoa with a twist that I
Okay.
make for my kids. We have games that we play. We just have traditions that are special and near and dear to us around the
Right.
holiday season. So that's something that we like to do. You can think of things, activities. You can go online, find a whole list of activities you can do with your children. Talk to the teachers. They can give you a list of websites. There is plenty to do. Jump in the car, go look at the lights. You can walk around. I mean, not having money should not be an excuse not to celebrate Christmas. And I have seen parents go through that.
Mm.
Okay. Don't get caught up. If you don't celebrate it because it's not something that you believe in, that's one thing.
Right.
But to not celebrate it because you feel like you can't afford gifts, don't give into that pressure. It's not about all of that. Create experiences. Give your children exposure. Okay.
Correct.
And then finally, number five, be in the moment. Just be in the moment. Just take it all in. Too often as single parents, we're running around trying to do so much. We have to be here for our employment opportunities. We have to be
Mm-hmm.
here to take care of the kids, to cook the meals, to clean the house, to take care of the cat, the dog, whatever it is.
Yes.
Stop and be in the moment during this holiday season. Find time for self-care. All of that's being in. And finally, resources. What resources are available? You can contact the Houston Area Urban League. I know here in Houston, they were recently at A Leaf School District.
Hmm.
They had uh, literacy night at
Okay.
the A Leaf School District, okay, with the intermediate schools. And they gave away books with Scholastic. They gave away some gift cards. You can contact the NAACP. Get a list of resources that are near you. Do you need to contact 211? Do you need to contact 311? What about the United Way?
Hmm.
You can get on Plans of Action Houston's social media sites. And so we share information that people will send me in my inbox, and I'll share it with everyone.
Okay.
Okay. CyBrian.com. Look and see what he has coming up to help you through this fatherless situation, this conversation about fatherlessness. And then they even have adoption agencies that provide resources to families. So again, take your time, utilize your resources, get the support that you need. If you need some inspiration, check out the Inspiration Incubator at plansofactionhouston.com. And you can hear Cy's story as well as a lot of others and the different habits and lessons that they learned in life. So, Cy, is there anything else that you would like to add?
So nothing else I want to add. I do want to thank you, Leona. And I just want to remind people, it's all about your mental health. So, and I know you can do it. And like Leona said, Plans Action Houston is there, cybryant.com is there. We all want to be here to help you. So definitely reach out and look at those resources to see if you need anything.
All right. Well, everyone, have a Merry Christmas and a
Merry
Happy New
Christmas.
Year. All right. Thank you.